The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October the 14th, 2025. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by Caneswear, your ultimate destination for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. You can check out Caneswear on your way to the game on Friday night at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, or you can always catch them at Caneswear.com. And today's show is also sponsored by Modelo. If you're a college football fan, then that means that you deserve a Modelo. We'll talk more about Caneswear and Modelo later in the show. But Matt, let's start out today. We got, let's set the scene for the week. You know, I think that'd be a good way to attack today. We got Louisville coming to town on Friday night, and it's a team that I personally think is dangerous. And, you know, before every football season, I, look for the games that I think could be dangerous because there's always going to be some. Okay. And Miami's received pretty much a pass in that regard so far this year. They've gotten out to played very well and have gotten out to, reasonably big leads in every game. But then they've, kind of gone into cruise control and have allowed teams to creep back into it where it's one-score games in the fourth quarter. But I'm not ready to acknowledge that any of those are near misses for the sake of my argument, which means that there could be a couple more here in the last 7 games that end up, being a little bit more difficult than what we might suspect going in. And I'm going to put this Louisville game in that category simply because the Cardinals are extremely, extremely well coached on the offensive side of the football, and they can score. And, let's face it, if you're a team that's going to challenge Miami this year, you're going to have to be able to score. And I see Louisville as one that can. I see SMU coming up as one that can. I see Pittsburgh coming up as one that can. For starters there. I have not really seen too much of NC State. I can't really comment on NC State, and Syracuse is not the same Syracuse that we saw last year. I guess maybe they could put a game together. I don't know, but I think if you're looking for games that could be really competitive down the stretch, I think the 3 I mentioned could be among those. And certainly this Louisville game on Friday night has the potential to be interesting because they play decent defense on that side of the ball, and they're extremely well coached and capable of scoring on offense. So Miami's going to have to show up with its A game and ready to go. And Matt, you've spent a little bit of time here in the open weekend taking a look at this Louisville football team, and why don't you just give us a little scene setter for the week here, just on your knowledge of the Louisville team that will come into Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night.
Yeah, well, before the season, as a refresher, to make clear how dumb I am,
here we go.
I thought Florida and Louisville would be the 2 biggest challenges to Miami. And, I did wind up picking Miami to beat Florida. Obviously, for those that you watch the show know that after you watch the first couple of games of Florida, that they weren't very good. And now, having looked at a decent amount of Louisville games, because Louisville's played some really bad opponents and a couple of pretty good opponents, right? And they have some amazing weapons on offense. They really do. But their problem is they have Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback. Like Miller Moss is a rich man's version, if there is such a thing, of Tyler Van Dyke. He'll throw some great passes and get the balls to these amazing perimeter receivers. They got a couple of real playmakers out there. But then he'll just make idiotic plays. And there have been articles written about it in Louisville, how he's just awful. Like, they can't figure it out. How can you be that bad at certain moments of games? He's not a real mobile quarterback, which plays to Miami's strengths. And the reason, as you delve into not that Pro Football Focus is the answer, but as you delve into Pro Football Focus, they do sort of have the answer for what Louisville fans see, which is that he's been under pressure 32% of the time. Okay, 32% of the time that he drops back, he's under pressure. Okay, by comparison, for Carson Beck, that's 15%. That's a pretty big difference. And he's just awful under pressure. He's got an amazing 88, 87.4 grade when he's kept clean in the pocket. And when he's under pressure, which again is a third of the game, his grade is 34%, which is as bad as it gets for a quarterback.
That's typical of quarterbacks. I mean, they are.
No, some quarterbacks have 50% grades under pressure and 45%. No, 34% is just you are making really bad decisions.
Miami's got to get after him. That's the bottom line, which I'm sure
that's my point, right? So Louisville's offensive line's not real good. So as you sort of look at the matchups and how Louisville's looked, I think Miami wins this game fairly easily. As we look at it right now, the quarterback is going to be under pressure. There's no doubt about it. They're probably not going to be able to run the offense they need to run to keep up with Miami score-wise. Louisville's defense is decent, but not as good as Mario and everyone makes them sound. Again, if you I look at it right now, but if you look at their opponents so far, they had this is not like your typical schedule because I'm going to call it right now. Okay, because they played Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, and Bowling Green. None of those three teams are really going to wow you.
No.
And they beat them all extremely easily, as you'd expect, right? So they've only played two quote-unquote real teams. They beat Pittsburgh on the road by a touchdown, and they lost at home to Virginia by 3 points. So it's really, somewhat of a two-game season, you could say, in terms of playing quality opponents. And so when people say, oh, they're so good and their stats are amazing, if Miami played Bethune-Cookman and I don't make up two other teams that aren't real good, they're just like lower level programs or not Power 3, whatever, Miami's stats would also be off the charts. So you have to sort of throw those out to some extent, right? And so when you're just looking at Pittsburgh and Virginia, they've scored, Louisville scored 57 points and Louisville has given up 61 points. So, is this the team that's like this amazing team, like what Mario Cristobal and the coordinators are saying? Not so much, right? And the defense is going up a lot of points. And then you look at the offense and how they're going to match up with Miami's defensive line, and you just say that there's no way. There's no way that I think Louisville should be able to even keep this game close. Maybe the first half will be close, but there's just over 4 quarters, the talent gap and the matchups. There's just I can't see a world where Miami doesn't win this game fairly easily. And then as you look at the rest of the schedule, this is why I went on the boards during the bye week. And I'm like, I think they go undefeated because I researched during the bye, I researched every single team that they play. And this is like the Big East. I said this, I talked to a major booster, a Miami booster. I know most of you think most of you think I only talk to Florida boosters. No, this was a Miami booster. That's a joke. I don't talk to Florida boosters. But I said to him, this feels like the Big East. I don't know why it feels like the Big East because everyone's, Gary and everyone's like, the ACC is really good. There's just parity. It's just a great conference. There's just parity. But I just don't think any of these teams are anywhere near Miami's level. I just don't. And you look at the SEC with
that's because Miami has shown up at a very high level this year.
But the SEC with 5 teams in the top 10, Louisville's 38th if you count down on the others receiving votes. And there's nobody else Miami plays even in that group of 40 or whatever it is schools. The rest of the schedule, Miami would have to really fall on its face in a game for 4 quarters probably to lose one of these remaining games. And will they? Can they? Yeah, of course it could happen. ESPN had a statistic that Miami leads the country with the highest % chance to finish undefeated. Okay, I saw this was a little scroll underneath. And that % chance, take a guess, Gary. What do you think the % chance is Miami's going to finish undefeated according to the ESPN analytics, which are awful, but what do you think that was?
56%.
Okay, so this is the highest in the country, and it's 29% because
really
in every game you have a 20% chance of losing. So if you play enough games, the odds are you're going to lose one of them, right? And against Louisville, maybe the odds are 35% they might lose, right? So you have to add those all up. And then when you get to the statistical, the combinations and the permutations, and you do all the math with your little AI Luke and Steven programs, and it spits out the 29%. So there's that, but it does start with Louisville. And Mario's not wrong in stressing the 1 week at a time approach. I just don't know how much it resonates with his team because, as a human being, I know you're not one, but I am a human being. And as a human being with emotions and normal neurotypical whatevers, well, I guess I'm not that neurotypical, but somewhat neurotypical. The more you say something to somebody over and over again, the same thing over and over again, yeah, you recognize it and you might think it's true, but you also start to tone it out. And for every single day to be hammering rat poison and every day you got to work hard and, like, I don't know the psychology books, what they say, but I know for me personally, if someone's telling me the same damn thing every damn day, like do your homework, clean your room, do your homework, clean your room, I'm not going to do it. I would just get sick of hearing it. I'd stop doing it. Even if I wanted to do it on my own, when somebody's constantly telling me that, I'm going to just stop doing it. And so I have a feeling like,
I get what you're saying. I kind of, I kind of have that a little bit. I have that in my house, quite honestly.
It's nice to say it. It's
every damn day. All my wife ever tells me to do is take out the garbage.
Okay, that's great.
You get tired of being told to take out the garbage.
You can write your next column about that. It wasn't about you. What I'm trying to get to is, like, that's why fans, if Miami does falter in a game, if Miami does fall on its face in a game, Mario will stand up there and say they weren't prepared and they didn't work hard enough or whatever it's going to be. There's going to be some, there'll be some reason why it happened. But the truth is, just human nature, you can't get up for every single game. You can tell them every minute of every day. It just sort of winds up getting out in the weeds, and that's how it is. And that's why I want Miami fans just to be prepared mentally to lose a game. I know they should win every game. I know they have the highest analytics to win every game. But even those analytics say human nature is going to take over at some point. They're going to lose to a worse team.
I think they've done a good job the first 5 games of showing up ready to play. Don't you?
Say it again.
I feel like they've done a pretty good job the first 5 games, showing up ready to play, motivated.
That's not. I didn't mean to say they didn't show up for their first 5 games. They clearly did.
Yeah. So
I'm saying human nature at some point. There's going to be a potential bad half, right? A potential bad 3 quarters. Just something that.
Well, I think they've had that in almost every game. They've had at least a bad quarter. The fourth quarter has been horrendous in most of these games.
Right. That's why I said half, not a quarter.
They haven't really, other than South Florida, I guess, they haven't really.
But you see, every week you see these upsets and these surprises and teams that should be blowing people out, not blowing them out. And that's part of it. You think every other coach in the country is not telling their players, you better get up for this game? Like,
but you're not saying it. You're not seeing it with Ohio State.
If you are 3 deviations from the mean better than everyone else, if you're 3 deviations from the mean better than everyone else, then you can play a bad game and still win. I don't know if Miami's there yet. I guess we'll find out because they do have, Pittsburgh's decent enough. Louisville's certainly decent enough. I didn't mean to make it sound like they're terrible. They're defense. They're probably the best team left on paper Miami's going to play. I mean, they are. They're just not real good. They're good and they have bad matchups against Miami in particular. I just think Miami's starting lineup is that good. And the fact that Miami can stay healthy, that's the other big key, right? These 2 buys could not have come at better times because Jordan Lyle's fully healthy, right? Elijah Lofton, JoJo Trader, if they decide to actually play him, they came at good times, these 2 buys in 3 weeks, but now you've got this long grind and guys play hurt all the time. Like, that's what you do. Nobody's actually healthy. They say they're healthy. They're hurt, but they just are playing. That means they're healthy. So that's the other thing we got to monitor, right? Because they are building some decent depth, which I like to see. And I feel like they're actually doing a really good job of it this year, whereas I had some issues with it in past years with some guys who I felt were not worth playing over some of the younger guys. But I think this year they're doing a really good job of integrating some of the guys that are going to be back next year. Like I said to the booster, I think the program finally is built for the future. Like, the last 2 or 3 years, I'm like, I'm not quite sure what Mario's doing, taking all these transfers, and then the team's not real good. And then last year they fade down the stretch. But I feel like this year, at this point where we sit here right now, no matter what happens in these last, how many games are left? 7 games plus postseason. No matter what happens, I see the glimpse of what Mario's doing finally, because even last year, you see they're losing so many receivers, they're losing their whole offense, You weren't quite sure what this year would look like, and I felt like it would be coming. I felt like next year would be the real year where the roster came together. But you could see this year when you look at this roster and the starters, how they're performing, and then the guys behind them, and just knowing what those guys can do, you see what Mario says when he wants to stack talent behind talent. Now he built from the inside out. Like, hey, you got to build the offensive line and defensive line first. Like, fans don't look at that enough. That was the whole key to this thing. If he didn't have a great offensive line and great defensive line, we're not sitting here right now probably undefeated. I mean, they dominate And when you dominate up front on both sides, it's really easy to win games. It's just easier. It's just easier. And Mario, to his credit, that's what he went about doing.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
like in general, I agree with you. It's really hard for a team to show up ready to play 12 straight weeks. But I look at Ohio State, I look at Miami, I look at Indiana. These teams seem to be a little bit better, and Indiana has a pretty soft schedule. And I mean, I know they played at Oregon and won the other day, but that's their toughest game of the season right there. They already won at Iowa, and they really don't play too many more teams. Penn State's reeling. So, you know, I think that those three teams at the top of the polls do have a chance to go undefeated, and it'll be interesting to see if Miami can get to the finish line here. But it starts on Friday night against a dangerous Louisville team, just because they have quality on both sides of the ball and they are capable of scoring. So along those lines, I mentioned we did send Matt to the lab. And he took a closer look at Miller Moss. And the interesting thing about Miller Moss is, he's kind of average, as Matt already said, but this is a guy that loves to throw interceptions. And, he threw 9 of them last year as a starter for USC, which was distressing enough to the Trojans that he ended up in the transfer portal and ends up at Louisville. And then he's already thrown 4 interceptions in 5 games this season for the Cardinals. So this is a guy that doesn't perform well under pressure and has a propensity to throw interceptions. Okay, so I think it's fairly safe to say, Matt, that Corey Heatherman is going to come after Miller Moss, and you do pull out some examples here in your film study where not all were his fault. I mean, I'm looking at one right now that like literally bounced off the hands of the receiver. He threw it a little bit up and away.
Yeah, one of them clearly. Well, but he threw it in. He did. Yeah,
really,
I mean, it had to be a perfect pass, and he didn't recognize the double coverage also. So,
Yeah, and then there was a bomb down the field that the receiver kind of tried to catch, and the ball bounced up off his chest.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's one where he threw it into double coverage, but it was a perfect pass.
Yeah.
The guy should have caught it. Yeah.
Yeah, there were 2 DBs there, and it hits the guy in the chest and bounces up, and the defensive back makes the interception.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure I would blame him on every one of these.
Look at his interceptions last year. He has been very interception prone.
Well, the third one I just looked at against Pitt, he threw it right into traffic across the middle. I mean, just a horrible, horrible interception. No argument on that one. And then there was another one. It looked like he was sacked against Virginia. It looked like he was sacked, and he just throws the ball wildly for no reason. And great play by the Virginia defender to intercept it, but it was just a boneheaded play by Miller Moss.
I mean, here's your headline. You don't need to keep going through every clip. Here's your headline.
Well, I'm just looking at him, and I want everybody to look at him in your story. So I'm promoting your story, Matt. Matt, take the goddamn win, will you? I'm promoting your story. Why are you interrupting me? I'm literally promoting your story that you spent the time to write, and you're telling me to be quiet.
Well, because after the Pitt game, here's all you need to know. This is from Big Red Louie, okay, which is, I guess, some sort of Louisville fan site. The headline, Louisville fans already calling for Jeff Brom to bench Miller Moss before the Pitt game.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean they're not happy with him over there.
Yeah, well, I don't know who they have behind them, but you know what? I think those Louisville fans.
How many of his interceptions have been pick sixes? Like I think 4 of them, 3 of them.
A couple of them,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of them have been really bad, no argument. But I don't know that they're going to bench him. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I don't know who the backup
is.
Here's
a Louisville fan. He posted on Twitter, Miller Moss is so bad, he makes you wish Jack Plummer was back under center. Here's another one. I have seen enough Miller Moss for the season. Does not read progressions. Stares wide receivers down. Throws high across the middle. Short on out routes. Put in Brady and let's see where we can get going. That's some other fan.
Yeah. Well,
but no, they're not. Look, he has again, like I said, he has Tyler Van Dyke-itis. It's just he has these bad moments.
Yeah. But anyway, so we do have this story on the website for you today, and make sure you check it out. It'll give you a little perspective on Miller Moss as we count down the Friday's kickoff and take on Louisville. All right, let me take a moment right now and tell you guys a little bit about Modelo, because Modelo is the hottest beer brand out there. You see them everywhere, and college football season is simply Modelo season. So reward your full-time fandom with an ice-cold Modelo, which is the official beer of the college football playoff. And, I've been trying a few Modelos here during football season, and I got to tell you, it's a really, really, really good brand. I think you guys will like it. And the Modelo recruiter has been out in action, and he's looking to reward full-time fans who give their all to their team. So if you're listening to this, that means you are a full-time fan, because only full-time fans listen to this show. And it's time for you to get an ice-cold reward. So go check out Modelo. You can check them out at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night. I mean, you'll see Modelo all over the place at the stadium. You see their signage on the field. Some things in life are just made for each other. You got peanut butter jelly, macaroni and cheese, and college football and Modelo. So you live and breathe college football, and that makes you a full-time fan. So go give yourself what you deserve, which is a Modelo. Grab one today and stay game day ready all season long. All right, Matt. So we're staying game day ready here. And we had a chance to talk to Mario Cristobal yesterday. And we spoke to both coordinators and got a little insight into what they're thinking here as they get ready for the game. And, Mario was kind of, mid-season Mario. He didn't really have a lot to say. He dished out a lot of praise. He likes the way his team is practicing. He likes the culture. He likes the leadership that he's seeing out there. He likes the fact that they are healthy. He likes the fact that Jordan Lyle's back, because he feels like Jordan Lyle is a special player. There are signs that JoJo Trader is practicing better and is earning himself onto the field for this Friday night. So there's a lot of really good stuff going on out there. The defense, has worked hard to clean up their errors from the Florida State game. And so Mario's in a good place right now. Recruiting's going pretty well, and the team's going well. And he's spent a lot of time in the off week doing national media, going on a lot of podcasts and stuff. And, if Mario's doing that with his time, that tells you that Mario is feeling good about what's going on in the team, because his first couple of years, he really didn't want to go out there that much. He felt like, I want to have my head down. I want to get this program right. And then I will do all these things that are the trappings of success. Shannon Dawson, he's trying to take his offense to the next level, Matt. And, I really think that they have just scratched the surface. I mean, I really do. I mean, I think when you look at Jordan Lyle coming back, possibly JoJo Trader getting integrated, Elijah Lofton's just getting started this season. We know that, we've been talking about how all the things he can do. You got CJ Daniels playing at a really high level, Malachi Toney playing like a superstar. And you guys have heard me for many years now talk about how you need a go-to receiver. You need an alpha dude, a number one receiver. I would say Malachi Toney is on his way to being that guy. I mean, it's hard for a slot receiver to do it, but I'll tell you what, man, they are drawing it up for him. Shannon Dawson is doing a spectacular job of scheming for Malachi Toney and designing plays that are like wow. You see some of the plays where they're working the angles in the middle of the field and stuff, and the routes that Malachi Toney is running to free himself. And I mean, it's impressive stuff. I mean, it really is. And but Matt, you got to agree. I mean, this is an offense that I think is just scratching the surface. I think there's a whole nother level that they can get to. And maybe a little bit by design, that they're kind of pacing themselves through the season, because they've gotten caught at the end of the year now, on multiple occasions. And the one thing that they've learned is the teams, as they catch on to what you're doing, you better have some things in your back pocket as an answer to that. Some wrinkles, some different things that they have not seen that will allow you to score points in the month of November. And so I get the impression that Shannon Dawson's still kind of tinkering a little bit and looking for different ways to make this offense better.
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is what sort of, I don't know why this is interesting to me, but as people sort of, we all live in the moment, right? We don't really think about what might have been. But if you reflect back to December and even again after spring practice, and this is because you mentioned Malachi Toney, Miami was in desperation mode to find a slot receiver. Like, do you remember that? Like, they were throwing money out there. They were Casey Concepcion, Trevor Pena, they were going crazy over, a ton of guys. Eric Rivers at one point, they were trying to get Eric Singleton. Like, you name a top slot receiver in the portal, they were trying to get all of them. And they whiffed in December, and then they got Tony Johnson after spring practice, and they also got Keelan Marion, who played a lot in the slot, but also played outside, right? So he could do either. And then they felt comfortable. But what always amazes me, the coaches certainly knew what they had in Malachi Toney. Like, everyone knows the guy's a freak, but you just don't know when a guy's a freshman, right? And
they may not have known to this degree. Right. I mean, he had a good spring practice.
Well, that's the whole point, right? So here's what I'm trying to say.
Up in the spring game.
This is not an indictment of the staff not knowing.
No, but I mean, he had a good spring game. Remember the spring game?
I know, but after the spring, they went and chased more guys in the slot. So my point is this: imagine if Miami had thrown $1.5 million at Trevor Pena, who's really struggling, or something like that, right? Or $2 million, whatever it would have taken to get him here, and he's your starting slot because you paid him all that money. We're talking about Malachi Toney maybe being a 5-10 rep a game guy. That's what's crazy. Like, we just lucked in to having Malachi Toney by not getting Casey Concepcion, who they desperately wanted, like, to be their slot guy, their every down Xavier Restrepo replacement. Like, we lucked into it. We saved millions of dollars, and we got the best slot guy in the country, in my opinion. Like, that's how you sometimes luck into championships and luck into undefeated seasons, and luck into saving a lot of money for NIL. It's just kind of funny to look back, because I don't know that fans always think about it that way, that Malachi Toney really wasn't going to play much if they had gotten one of their top 3 choices at slot out of the portal. And sometimes it just works out. And when it works out, it's just great, because, like, isn't that just the way it's supposed to be? That's when you stack talent on top of talent. Sometimes the talent that was supposed to be stacked winds up rising to the top, So that's the Malachi Toney story for freshmen. Honestly, he should be sending thank you letters to Casey Concepcion and Trevor Pena and all these other guys that they chased.
Yeah, I'll take this kind of luck all day, but I'm also captivated by the idea of JoJo Trader getting back involved here, because when you take JoJo, Josh Moore on the outside, Toney.
Well, hold on. You should probably read the quote from Shannon Dawson about JoJo. I mean, I don't know that he's really
there. I don't have to read the quote.
Okay, so you got the feeling what he said.
I'm the one that asked him the question: is JoJo practicing better?
Okay, so you got the feeling he's going to play a lot now. That's your feeling, because I got the opposite feeling. Because then he all of a sudden lumps in Josh Moore with JoJo Trader. I want to get both those guys real involved.
Yeah,
that's not about JoJo Trader.
I'm not assuming anything.
Okay,
I'm not assuming anything, because I think
Josh made it sound like JoJo Trader's going to start getting a ton of reps all of a sudden.
No, I didn't put a number on it. I think it would be progress just for him to be out on the field. I mean, it's been a tough go.
I think they need to play him, because they need to keep him. I don't want to see him go somewhere else. Like, make him happy. Let him play. Get him some touchdowns. Why not? What's the harm?
I mean, it would be a shame, but I mean, they're also they're not sweating this, man. Like you got some pretty good receivers that are in the recruiting mix.
Yeah. And you got to play the guys who earn it. I mean, I get it. I do get it.
You have to. I mean, Josh Moore earned it. Like, he's not playing as much as he's earned. I mean, They got to get him out there more. I mean, Tony's obviously getting it, and CJ Daniels is getting it. I'm sure Tony Johnson and would love to get some more reps. And, Marion, obviously he came here in the portal. He wants as many reps as he can get. So listen, they're competing. There's like a real premium for receiver reps on this team. And,
isn't it crazy that this is a more professional run program than the Dolphins? Like
100%.
They show up. If one of them doesn't show up on time for a team meeting, like the whole team's in the sand pits and Mario's throwing ice buckets on him or something.
Can you imagine that? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
First of all, when you're having to call all these player-only meetings every week, you're a mess to begin with. And that's what Tua was talking about, player-only meetings. I mean, come on, man. If you're having to call player-only meetings every week, you're in big trouble, and the Dolphins are in big trouble. But no, the culture.
If Miami called a player-only meeting and players didn't show up or showed up late, you don't think Mario? What would Mario do? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, but I tell you right now, if Carson Beck or Ruben Bain or Mesidor or any of these guys call a player-only meeting, I guarantee you every guy would be there. Okay,
they're a half hour early.
Yeah, this is a great culture they have this year, and that's why they're doing so well. And
that's also sort of underreported a little bit. Everyone sees how good everyone's playing. It's because these guys are playing as a team. That's the other thing. You bring in so many portal guys, you always worry about it going the wrong direction. And Mario did mention it yesterday, just talking about how these guys, how they have to sort of give up a little. He literally said you have to give up a piece of yourself to be part of a team. And that's true. Like, I don't know if the casual fan understands that, but you do, And he singled out David Blay. He said David Blay has no stats, like 12 tackles, maybe a tackle and a half for a loss, nothing, right? But he's creating so many plays for everyone else. And Mario specifically called him out to say, this is a guy who's doing a great job that just, he's doing what he's supposed to do, what we're asking him to do. It's just not designed for him to get stats. He's making plays for other people. And you need David Blay's all over the place. That's like, remember when Jimmy Graham was playing basketball? David Blay is the Jimmy Graham of this football team. He does the little dirty stuff that nobody notices, diving out of bounds to keep a ball alive and you win by a point, he's doing that stuff, but you need those guys desperately. And Miami has a bunch of them.
Yeah, and I'm going to point out, like, it works out. Like, at yesterday's practice, I think there were 17 NFL scouts. I mean, Ruben Bain rising to the top couple picks of the draft. Now every NFL team is investing a lot of time into scouting Ruben Bain. When you're talking about the kind of numbers that those guys get at the top of the draft. And they're also looking at everybody else while they're out of practice. And, so like, you don't have to be selfish. You're like, if you're a good player, it's going to come to you. And over a 12-game season, then a potential ACC title game, then potential playoffs, you're going to have enough games this year that certain guys are going to rise up in certain weeks, just like CJ Daniels has stepped up, just like Malachi Toney has stepped up. Mark Fletcher has stepped up. Marty Brown, but he'll be back next year. Carson Beck has certainly stepped up. The guys on the O-line, Matt just mentioned David Blay. He's playing well. The two ends are obviously playing well. I think the linebackers are improving, so people are going to notice. Okay, certainly the safety play, Jacoby Thomas, he's helping himself enormously this season. He's going to get drafted. You watch. So, there's no reason to be selfish out there. You'll get noticed if you're good. Your day will come. And you will get noticed when it does.
By the way, when we're talking about Ruben Bain, we did a film study of him also a couple of days ago. And the amazing thing to me is I was putting that together is Florida, Florida's right tackle, they matched him up with Florida's right tackle. And Florida's right tackle was a guard who moved to right tackle due to injury. And you could just see him blowing. The guy was too slow. Like, you could see him blowing the guy up every damn play. And Florida never did anything else. At one play, Florida's trying to block him with a tight end. Florida literally rolled their quarterback towards Bain and only tried to block Bain with a tight end. How do you think that ended? I mean, these teams, I don't understand. Like, I guess they feel like can't double team Bain because everyone else is pretty good on the line or something. I don't get it. They don't seem to have a plan to try and stop him. which is great, you know. And I'm curious to see with this great offensive coordinator at Louisville if they're constantly double teaming him, or if they're just going to try to let their tackle deal with him.
They have a quarterback that can't handle being under pressure. They're going to have to do. They're going to have to do.
But guess what? If you do max protect, you have very few routes being run. That's the problem.
In fairness, we're 5 games in, and the Ruben Bain that we're seeing this year is a whole different animal than what we saw last year. Okay, and he's twice as good as he was as a freshman. So, I mean, he is playing at such an insane level. And I asked Corey Heatherman about it, and you guys can check it out in the story that's on the website. He's playing at a ridiculous level, and you know, it's a tribute to him, the effort, the technique that he shows, and he's going to get rewarded because he is flying up the NFL draft shot charts. All right, let's take a moment here right now, and let's hear from our friends at CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
Yeah, so you got a home game this week. That means you'll be to Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night, and man, CaneSport is such a great pit stop on game day. You know, you go by there, check out all their stuff. They've got some really good, cool Adidas product out that just came out that I like just because it's different. You know, it's like you're a Canes fan for, you know, your whole life, whatever, and, you know, since you're a little kid, you know, whatever. It's like you got about 30 Miami Hurricanes polos, about 30 Miami Hurricanes t-shirts. You know, I like different. Okay. And the thing I love about CaneSport is they have such an enormous selection. They have the largest selection of Miami Hurricanes merchandise anywhere. And that means that you could find different there. And different is like this new Adidas line that's out this year. That's really, really cool. Those of you that watch the Lamar Thomas show on Wednesday night, Lamar is broadcasting the show from CaneSport, and you've seen him showing off some of that stuff during the show, and just really nice line of camo gear in different color tones too, by the way. So make sure you get on over to CaneSport or go to caneswear.com to check that out. But they have t-shirts, jerseys, hats, polos, hoodies, flags, magnets, you name it, they have it. And let's say you're saying Friday night's a night game and you want to tailgate because it's, you know, the weather's getting a little cooler and big game Friday night. You're going to dive out of work in the early afternoon and you want to go tailgate and you don't have all the stuff. Well, here's what you can do. You can go over to CaneSport. They'll hook you up with the tables, the chairs, all that stuff that you need for your tailgate. You can slide next door and you can get yourself some subs at La Spada. They feed Lamar, so I don't mind giving them a little plug. And you just drive 15 minutes up University Drive to get to the stadium and do your thing as a fan. So they're at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. And if you can't get to the store, you can always go to caneswear.com. Check them out as soon as you can. You will not be the least bit sorry. All right, let's see. A few more things that we should talk about today. You know, Matt calls them the AI bots. Stephen and Luke, they are grinding away on the recruiting front. A lot of activity here now in the middle of the season. Guys are coming to games, and coaches just were on the road for off weeks visiting kids. So it's been a lot of action here last week or so, and Stephen and Luke are working away. They had a recruiting podcast on the website a couple days ago. If you didn't see that, make sure you check that out. Several different recruiting stories on the site today, and a couple other ones yesterday. One on Ben Cognan yesterday, Anthony Kennedy yesterday, and today you got Karsten Bush, Braden Tyson, Brody Jennings. So lots of recruiting coverage coming your way at CaneSport.com. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we have our CaneSport live show. Been great this year. We got a great cast of characters that come on the show every week. And if you haven't been watching that on Tuesday nights, join us tonight. Don't think you'll be sorry. You will love the show. And if you're a Matt Shodell fan, you get an extra hour with Matt in the first hour of CaneSport Live. So come check that out tonight at 8 o'clock. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please, come on, man. Come join our community of fans. Your subscriptions, you see it on the bottom of your screen, literally allow us to have the quality of team that we have and give you guys the depth of coverage with more than 300 stories a month on your Miami Hurricanes. And your subscriptions are what allow us to do what we do every single day. So if you're not yet a subscriber, please come on over to CaneSport.com, join our community. You will not be sorry for that either. We will have more on Louisville as the week goes on. Keep taking a look at all the news that's coming out of Louisville camp, and as we gear up for Friday night's game at the Rock. But for now, that's going to conclude Good Morning CaneSport for today. We thank you guys so much for starting out your morning with us. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We'll see you next time, everybody.